Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you have the opportunity to join me. I'm Dr. Jan. This is Russell Institute of Learning, Sidebar Education, and I am so excited and glad that you are with me. I'm hoping that through this summer, we are going to be interviewing various teachers, getting their perspective on what's going on in our education system. My first person that I'm getting to interview is my first cousin. His name is Alan C. Ware. And as I've mentioned to you in several other episodes that you can go back, we are a family of educators. So let me bring you in. Hello, Alan. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you this evening?
I am great. So again, this is Alan C. Ware. We had to talk about getting this organized because his father, my uncle, who is a teacher, is Alan H. Ware. Then Alan, that is in front of us, his son is an Alan C. Jr. So we've got Allens in the family, and we've got Johns, we've got Margarets, we have Elizabeth. So our family has pretty traditionally held on to those names that we honor and adore. Well, Alan, how are you this evening?
I can't complain. I'm on vacation this summer, so I'm resting up for the fall. So, yep, I'm good.
Okay. Hey, we that'll whole be a whole nother. What do you do during the vacation as a teacher?
Mhm.
Hey, we don't really rest. We're always thinking and preparing and going ahead.
Yes,
Well, Alan,
absolutely.
yes, let's get to it. And I have three main questions I'd like to get to today. And we're hoping
Okay.
that, again, people are, as they're listening, you will comment, you will like, follow, and share. Because, again, you know that Russell Institute of Learning is powered by the WARE concept, working at renewing education. And I believe that we as teachers need to have a discussion of what's going on in our world because you can't change or fix anything if you don't identify what is the problem and then really dig down to what is the cause. So, question number one, tell me about your educational experience, including your K through 12, your own personal education, what it was like for you as you went through college, and then what has it been like for you as a teacher?
Okay. Wow. So when I think back, I think my story is a little different than most. Um, I grew up in Urbana, Ohio, and at that time, it was about a 5% minority population. And so I, went to school there from kindergarten, Head Start, all the way through ninth grade. My father was so gracious to allow me to finish football for my freshman year. And then we moved to Columbus because they were both educators and had gotten hired by Columbus City Schools that fall. So they were living in Urbana and transporting, going, I mean, back and forth to Columbus. And so I finally moved to Columbus and went from a school that was 5% black to a school that was 85% black. And even, it's so, I'm a little embarrassed to say, it was a culture shock for me. And I had to adapt quickly, especially in the high school age where, middle school, high school, the kids can be really ruthless. So you just have to really learn how to navigate through a new environment. So that was my high school, but I mean, I feel like I adapted well to high school, and was somewhat successful in high school. I'm in the arts. A lot of our family, we sing, and so I really flourished in choir and things like that. So I found my niche in high school. After high school, I decided to go to one of our historically black colleges and universities down in Grambling, Louisiana. I went there for a year. It didn't work out for me, to be completely transparent. And so I came home and I worked in Columbus at Bank One. I worked in the mailroom. And a good friend of mine, one day I was at home, he called me. He said, "You need to come down to Oklahoma." And I said, "You know what?" And I felt like I needed to get back into school. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna try it. So I went and I talked to my parents and told them I wanted to go to a Christian private college, and they were like, okay. So I said, no, knowing me. So they, I feel like God led me there, and I got there, and I made some really good friends, and they had an excellent education program. And so I ended up graduating from Mid America Bible College, or now it's Mid America Christian University in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and that's where I got my undergrad. And I moved to Michigan, where I became. I had to finish my. I had to do my student teaching in Michigan. So through Wayne State University, a couple phone calls from people I know, they were able to get me in their student teaching program. So I was able to move from Oklahoma City to Detroit, and I did my student teaching there, third grade. And I took all the licensure exams. I passed everything, and I started. My first grade ever was third grade back in 1994, and so I've been teaching ever since. I've taught in Detroit. I taught in a charter schools in Detroit. I taught in Savannah, Georgia, and now I'm back home teaching. In the fall, I'll be teaching fifth and sixth grade social studies and science in Columbus, Ohio. So that's a sorry, quick
Oh, that's
rundown
great.
of
That's
everything.
great.
No,
You are a well-rounded individual, and that has, I'm sure, highlighted and complemented your teaching style, which makes me ask the question, what is your opinion about the learning environment of the world today as compared to what you experienced and as you were growing up?
I honestly feel like we should be so much further along because of all the technological resources that are available to us. And this is, I think, '09 was the last group of kids that didn't know what a touch screen was. And so my point is, we have so many resources that are available in a format, in a gamification format that could be more attractive to students. I just feel like we should be further along, and I'm speaking from in my plethora of experiences in different cultures. Thinking about it, I taught in Detroit, I taught in Savannah, Georgia. Those parents and kids are night and day, but they're the same issues that we're having. And so there are things that have been created that if we prioritize those drilling of those the foundation of all, especially when I think about it, I really think about mathematics. And I think that's something, it's such a fixable problem. You know, we have different things like dyslexia and different things that can kind of hinder a comprehension when you're reading a passage. But when you are able to teach the math and the sciences in a way where the kids are it's interactive, and I just feel like we should be so much further along. Um,
And what is so great, you and I have not previously talked. And so,
right.
again, as I'm going to go ahead and say, Alan Clarence, just before we came on air, was telling me he is now pursuing his PhD and making his application. Well,
Yes.
you and I definitely will want to come back and have discussion on that because my research was on characteristics of contemporary United States middle schools and what is it that allows students to excel. Because my first posed question when I went to school was, what is the classroom of the future? Well, like you've said, the classroom of the future has now become technology driven, but we're not seeing any real substantial academic change. So, therefore, all of the wonderful bells and whistles we've received, what is it that we have to go back to? And for me personally, I think we're going to talk about what are the 21st century skills that people need because we're not helping students by making them dependent. We have to
Right.
help them to become independent and challenge them because you know what? Yeah, they're kids and I want them to have fun. But you know what? They can learn far more than sometimes we are giving them credit for. Go ahead.
Real quick. And I understand, and I have had so many conversations with my parents over the last year and a half, especially with my fourth graders that became fifth graders, and then my new fourth graders who I taught all year. Had so many conversations, and I wanted them to just to understand I'm on your side, and I get it. And this has been a horrible, the COVID-19 thing has been so detrimental because my kids they stopped classroom learning. I'm talking about last year kids, from fourth grade. They lost. My last day with them was March 13th until the end of the year, and that's when, after the testing is done, we really try to drill everything and give them everything we can before the end of the year so that next year they can touch on the thing. We can make sure that they touch on the things that we finished with. And so there's a continuation process, but we never got that. And then
Right.
those kids started a year, and some of them didn't get online at all. They didn't know, they didn't have technology. Their Chromebooks, they didn't have one, or they weren't working, or the kids were playing games and knew how to manipulate the parents,
Mhm.
and the parents weren't technologically savvy. There's so many different variables, and so I understand that our kids right now, it's going to take about 3 to 4 years of hard, and I use this term all the time, academic stamina. You got to
Yes.
push them, and push them because they get tired at the beginning of the year. They're like, you
Mhm.
no, you got to push through that, and then they can work all day, and we got to make up for lost time.
Yes.
That's the
All
only
right.
way we're going to get it.
And what I am very sure of, this is a worldwide problem. It's not just you in Columbus or us here in the
Right.
Bahamas. It is worldwide. So, as you have described that without us talking, that is
Yeah.
exactly true. And at my island where I live, we had that Hurricane Dorian. And so we're almost 2 years without academic education. And we have already, how do we catch our students up? And it can be a 3, 4 year process, especially when you are in the same school building, you're with the same teachers because you can make a plan. It's
Right.
when the students might be skipping and moving that could create trouble. So let's
Attendance.
come back
Yeah.
and we're going to
Yeah.
hold that, but we
Okay.
need to come
Okay.
back and have that discussion because I
Yes.
think people would like to know, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And as much as possible, parents will and grandparents and anyone who can get involved, flashcards, online games that reinforce math facts or grammar facts. Those are what they should be doing versus how can I shoot this person and make them dead? Mm,
Listen, this is a time where the only the only way it's really going to work if parents take the role of the bad guy right now. They're going to have to support the teachers and say, no, your teacher said you need to spend time on this particular website for 30 minutes a day. And
mhm.
this is what you're going to do. And then when she said, when you're done with that, and it's if they would do that, it would make the world of difference for everybody. And when I say for everybody, it's for the parents because you're now involved and you know exactly. There's no question. Back when I was in school, if the unless you were really bad, you could keep your bad grades away from your parents until it was report card time or parent teachers conference, which really wasn't a smart idea as I look past in the past. But now there's no excuse. I use Classroom Dojo, and I talk to my parents. They text me at night. Sometimes I don't respond to the morning because I don't want to give them that freedom, but I respond. I mean, they reach out to me when they have questions, and I it's there's no excuse for our kids not to be so much further than where they are, in my opinion.
Okay, I like that. And we will hold that. Now, let me ask you because I think you've talked on it, that your observation of the students that you are teaching in your classes now, what are their true needs? So I think you've said it just now in what you've said. Can you sort of narrow that to a sentence or two? What is the true need for our students right now?
Mm. Okay, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I feel like we need more parental support, and by that I mean we need to have something in place where if I'm teaching fourth grade, even fourth grade algebra, if you don't know algebra, it doesn't make sense. So we need to have programs in place for those parents, and hopefully it would catch on, but those parents that are interested in freshening up on, and it can be online, it can be something that they could go to, websites that they can go to and refresh their skills, so that when we send homework home or if they have an assignment to do, that I'm not getting a dojo, Mr. Ware, he doesn't know how to do this. I can send you a link where you now can watch this video to see the steps in which it took to finish the problem. And now we can have more. Now the parent is more confident,
Correct.
and that transfers into the child
And I
because
think we've
now
never done that before.
because when
I think,
parents learn, yeah, when parents learn, it becomes valuable to them, and
yeah,
then it can instill they can instill that same sense of value to their child. No, you got to learn this. This is important because
right.
they felt that. Yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I'm going to hold on to that and we're going to come back. Do you remember Mrs. Oh, I am Bunch, Mrs. Bunch, that she did things at, you may not know, but she would have a parent and family time at the local McDonald's, and
Oh,
parents and kids had to come, and it was about math. So again, I like that. And once, 1 year to 2 years, I did a family fun time, and the students would come with their parents. But life
right.
gets tough, parents
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
two jobs, this and that. So we'll hold on to that,
Okay.
and we're really running out and pushing our time. So I definitely am going to have you back, but I
Okay.
want you to please think
Yes.
about and see, what can you tell us is your greatest concern when you look at the education system, the family, children, parents, our society at large. And you may only be able to tell us what your greatest concern is, and that may be a third or second, or sometime we're just going to talk about your concern. What is
Okay.
your greatest concern about our society and education and our children and family right now?
That we're falling behind. And I feel like something happened because and because I've been teaching from 94 to 2021. I've seen different types of parents, and I've seen a lot of um, especially in cities where there are jobs that don't require higher education and you can make a good living. Sometimes I feel like the message is lost with the kids, not because not from the parents. I feel like just because of what they see in society. Oh, I can go to Ford, or I can work at Honda with a high school diploma and make $20 in 2 years. I feel like, and I'm not downplaying that. I'm saying that I feel like there are a lot of kids that don't really see the importance of education anymore. They see a lot of people because of social media, they have been exposed to so much with so little understanding. They don't have the maturity to comprehend what they're seeing. I've heard things from kids that don't even come up to my elbow that an adult wouldn't say. And they've heard that and they've seen that and they don't know how to make sense of it. All they do is regurgitate. And the scary thing is, a lot of times it's in context. So that means it's
Right.
happening more often.
And they don't understand how, no matter what has gone on before, that many things are going to require an education that may not have in the past. And
Right.
so that's where we're going to say your greatest concern right now is the lack of appreciation and understanding of how valuable an education may be.
I you know what? That's Dr. Jan, because I couldn't have said it better myself.
You
And,
did. I just
but it's
summed it up for
no,
you.
but yeah, and we'll get into that. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
But um, this is I really appreciate you having me on, and this is new for me. It's exciting. I talk to other teachers about so many things, but only teachers hear them. So I think
Right.
it's a good idea that, I may not be as eloquent as the next, but I am passionate about what I do and what I've been doing for almost 30 years.
Wow.
And
Oh my goodness. Hey, and I say
I
mine for 30.
know.
I got started a little late. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. Yeah. This was
well,
my first adult job.
yes.
This was my first adult job. I was 23 when I started teaching, and I wasn't. Yeah, my birthday hadn't even come yet. It was like a month in to our birthday. This is all I've ever done, and it's all I know. It's like I have to be either in love with it or crazy or both,
Right.
because I mean, but I have so many wonderful relationships with people, like kids. Like when I taught in Detroit, they were sixth graders. They're graduating from college. They're married with
Oh,
kids. I'm still Mr. Ware, and
yes.
they let me know their accomplishments. And that is why we do what we do,
Yes.
because we want to make a difference. We want to give everything that we have from ourselves that is good that'll help. And we give it every day, and
Well,
we
I
were
am
happy.
so excited. This is not
Yeah,
our last conversation. You
okay.
and I will be back on. I
Yeah,
so appreciate. I will make notes as soon as we're off of the key
okay.
items that we still want to touch base. Um,
Okay.
Also, hey, for all those who are watching, remember you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Like, follow, comment, and share. This is Dr. Jan, Russell Institute of Learning Sidebar Education, and we will continue having interviews with teachers as long as we can for this summer, because we all are needing to think about how are we going to work at renewing education. Our children are the future, and we are responsible for them. Thank you, Alan. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much.